Lock up your libraries if you like, but there is no gate, no lock, no bolt that you can set upon the freedom of my mind. I would venture to guess that Anon, who wrote so many poems without signing them, was often a woman. Books are the mirrors of the soul. Why are women so much more interesting to men than men are to women? One cannot think well, love well, sleep well, if one has not dined well. If you do not tell the truth about yourself, you cannot tell it about other people. I can only note that the past is beautiful because one never realizes an emotion at the time. It expands later, and thus we don't have complete emotions about the present, only about the past. As a woman, I have no country. As a woman, I want no country. As a woman, my country is the whole world. When you consider things like the stars, our affairs don't seem to matter very much, do they? As long as she thinks of a man, nobody objects to a woman thinking. No need to hurry. No need to sparkle. No need to be anybody but oneself. Growing up is losing some illusions, in order to acquire others. There was a star riding through clouds one night. I said to the star, "Consume me." Women have served all these centuries as looking glasses possessing the magic and delicious power of reflecting the figure of man at twice its natural size. How much better is silence, the coffee cup, the table. How much better to sit by myself like the solitary sea bird that opens its wings on the stake. Let me sit here forever with bare things, this coffee cup, this knife, this fork, things in themselves, myself being myself. Anon, who wrote so many poems without signing them, was often a woman. Second-hand books are wild books, homeless books. They have come together in vast flocks of variegated feather, and have a charm which the domesticated volumes of the library lack. Love, the poet said, is woman's whole existence. All extremes of feeling are allied with madness. The history of men's opposition to women's emancipation is more interesting perhaps than the story of that emancipation itself. I thought how unpleasant it is to be locked out, and I thought how it is worse, perhaps, to be locked in. I am reading 6 books at once, the only way of reading, since, as you will agree, one book is only a single unaccompanied note, and to get the full sound, one needs 10 others at the same time. Alone, I often fall down into nothingness. I must push my foot stealthily lest I should fall off the edge of the world into nothingness. I have to bang my head against some hard door to call myself back to the body. She had the perpetual sense, as she watched the taxi cabs, of being out, far out to sea and alone. She always had the feeling that it was very, very dangerous to live even one day. I am made and remade continually. Different people draw different words from me. I have lost friends, some by death, others by sheer inability to cross the street. To look life in the face, always, to look life in the face, and to know it for what it is, at last, to love it for what it is, and then, to put it away. I will not be famous, great. I will go on adventuring, changing, opening my mind and my eyes, refusing to be stamped and stereotyped. The thing is to free one's self, to let it find its dimensions, not be impeded. What does the brain matter compared with the heart? For it would seem, her case proved it, that we write, not with the fingers, but with the whole person. The nerve which controls the pen wins itself about every fiber of our being, threads the heart, pierces the liver. I have a deeply hidden and inarticulate desire for something beyond the daily life. I meant to write about death, only life came breaking in as usual. It might be possible that the world itself is without meaning. I see you everywhere, in the stars, in the river, to me you're everything that exists, the reality of everything. Mrs. Dalloway is always giving parties to cover the silence. Blame it or praise it, there is no denying the wild horse in us. He smiled the most exquisite smile, veiled by memory, tinged by dreams. Anything may happen when womanhood has ceased to be a protected occupation. She thought there were no gods, no one was to blame, and so she evolved this atheist's religion of doing good for the sake of goodness. I worship you, but I loathe marriage. I hate its smugness, its safety, its compromise, and the thought of you interfering with my work, hindering me. What would you answer? I am in the mood to dissolve in the sky. To want and not to have, sent all up her body a hardness, a hollowness, a strain. And then to want and not to have, to want and want, how that wrung the heart, and wrung it again and again. Each has his past shut in him like the leaves of a book known to him by heart, and his friends can only read the title. It is 1,000 pities never to say what one feels. Fiction is like a spider's web, attached ever so lightly perhaps, but still attached to life at all four corners. How many times have people used a pen or paintbrush because they couldn't pull the trigger? They went in and out of each other's minds without any effort. The beauty of the world has two edges, one of laughter, one of anguish, cutting the heart asunder. Let us again pretend that life is a solid substance, shaped like a globe, which we turn about in our fingers. Let us pretend that we can make out a plain and logical story, so that when one matter is dispatched, love for instance, we go on, in an orderly manner, to the next.